What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the tavern. I'm Spencer,
I'm Eli.
and this is Bardic Blunders. And today, the place it with the PlayStation state of play. Games. There's games. There's new games.
You okay there, buddy? Did my mouth herpes get you? Or
No,
my mouth
I
AIDS?
just I
Whatever we
just had
call
a
it?
stroke. The PlayStation State of Play happened was what I was trying to
Wait a
say.
minute, I'm gonna.
it
Man.
was it was just like words started to come out of my mouth, and then it was just like, no, that's not those aren't the right words. Hold on, wait, and it was just like I couldn't. Oh boy, that was bad.
Man.
Anyways,
What are we gonna do with you?
I don't know. So yeah, we'll go over all the big announcements from State of Play. The most interesting thing, in my opinion, was Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver 1 and 2 remasters
Okay.
for the 25th anniversary. Which that I was like, whoa, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Um,
Yeah.
there was that's VR. There was a couple. There was a lot of VR games announced actually. That it was just like one was called the Midnight Walk, which looks like it could be interesting, but it's VR, and I don't have a VR headset, so you know, I'm kind of limited on my interest of that. Um,
So what would you do if we got a VR headset and started like messing with VR really heavy?
I'd do it. There's a couple VR games that I've wanted to play for a while.
Fair enough. How quickly would it turn into us trying to play horror games? Okay, who's
Oh, dude,
messaging
horror
me?
games would happen immediately.
And us like crying and whining about it.
Yeah, dude, 100%. There was a new title called Hell Is Us that seemed a little interesting, and I don't know how to explain it, so I'd suggest just go looking up the trailer if you want. I It was very weird, sort of zombie apocalypse esque, but not like zombies. It's like, oh, the monsters was inside our brains the whole time, and it's something I don't know. It seemed interesting, but it was a little confusing. Pal World's on PlayStation now, so they get a big fat check from Sony right before their lawsuit with Nintendo. Um,
Perfect.
Sonic Generations is getting a DLC bundle for the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, which features Keanu Reeves as Shadow the Hedgehog. Um,
Okay.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge DLC. Let's see, new Dragon Age game, Alan Wake 2 DLC, Hitman
Whoa,
VR,
whoa, whoa,
which
whoa, whoa, whoa,
what?
hold on. A
What?
new Dragon Age game?
Dragon Age the Veilguard, yes. New Dragon
Okay.
Age. We got
Cool.
Alan Wake 2 DLC. We got Hitman VR, which was the most interesting looking VR game. That one I was watching, it shows a guy, he holds up the frying pan to block a bullet and then shoots the guy.
Okay, that's pretty
I
dope.
was like, that's funny. I like that. Yeah, Legacy of Kain, which is wild. What's up, group? Yeah, Legacy of Kain. That's insane to me. Dynasty Warriors Origins, Monster Hunter Wilds, Lego Horizon Adventures, which, yes, it's Lego Horizon Zero Dawn. Why does that exist? I don't know. Horizon Dawn Zero Dawn Remastered, which we talked about last week.
Yeah,
And
that.
Stellar Blade is getting a Nier Automata DLC pack. which
Stellar
is
Blade. What is that?
that was the one with you know, everybody was kind of it was hotly contested because it was uh the main character is the Asian woman, and people were like, it's sexist, it's objectifying her, and it was like the modeler was literally the wife of the guy who was running the game, and she modeled her after herself. So everybody was getting mad that this woman was modeling this character after herself and calling it sexist. You know, we really need a Helldivers 2 remaster. Gosh.
I maybe they don't fuck this one up.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But yeah.
Oh, an update on that. Helldivers 2 has still not recovered from their fiasco.
See, I was
It,
looking on the gaming news subreddit earlier trying to find anything to talk about, and it says Helldivers 2 sees strong comeback after recent update.
well, I mean, the biggest thing with it is getting a new update, which is supposed to be like, Vietnam Warfare.
Okay.
Which I was like, isn't that like the entire point of it in the first place? That you're fighting kind of like, it's very much like we already have flamethrowers and incendiary grenades. Why do I need to? I don't know. It was just confusing to me.
Yeah, I lost all interest in the game after their whole fiasco earlier, and I don't plan on never coming back.
You were never there to begin with, so
Yeah. But yep, that was the state of play. It was interesting. There was a lot of VR games.
well, I hate to say it, but I'm starting to. It's a weird day when I'm like we're starting to see more VR games, and we're like, oh yeah, that's making more sense. I'm just waiting for like the major VR game that's gonna make VR an actual thing. Because we were around when VR was like, oh, this is the brand new thing.
But yeah, 10 years ago it was like it was, oh hey, here's this VR, and you had stupid stuff like you know, oh hey, we're just swinging in a nondescript world like Tarzan. Like, oh okay, cool. You know, you got a couple of them that were a little bit more exploratory, but it wasn't until like
It was like, what was the Super Hot?
Super Hot was one of the first big VR games. What's up, Razorbolt? Um, the
And
Walking
Super
Dead
Hot did
one.
really well. The what?
The Walking Dead one. That one
Oh,
was pretty big.
true.
But yeah, VR has been something that's been attempted since the 90s. You want to go back to the Virtual Boy? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
That was just like the red geometric shapes that actually caused horrible headaches in most people that tried to use it. Like VR has been something that people have tried to get working for
Make
a long time.
and it just does not succeed very often.
It well, yeah, especially the early attempts that were very primitive. It was like they didn't know what to do. VR needs to get a console that can compete against PlayStation and Xbox. And it will have to go the Nintendo route and use exclusive brand content you can't find on the other big ones. See, the thing is, the problem with that is PlayStation already has their own dedicated VR with the PSVR.
Yeah, and
And
Yeah,
then
what it has its own like name, and I can never remember what it is because I don't care enough.
the
Um,
Oculus.
you have the Oculus and you have the competitor to Oculus.
Oh, yeah, I know which one you're talking about. But VR is such a widespread thing now that no one's going to be able to like make some exclusivity with it.
Yeah, it's just too hard to.
You need to have somebody come in and make a game that's in VR that doesn't feel awkward. And I think the problem is the point at which you branch from this is really awkward with the like let me teleport, cuz that's what most VR games do. They don't have any like regular movement functionalities. So it's like, oh, I need to walk forward. I hold up my cursor and teleport 5 feet forward. That's what most of them do, and it just doesn't work. And I feel like VR won't truly be fleshed out until you can get those full rigs where you can run and move in the world. Like that's what's going to make virtual reality big. But the problem is that's going to be uber expensive. So only rich people are going to be able to play it. So it's like
Yeah.
it's one of those things. It's hard to see VR becoming widespread unless stuff like that gets really cheap, which it won't.
It either gets really cheap or um somebody finds a way to find some technology to bridge the gap.
Right.
Like sounds kind of dumb, but like Sword Art Online.
Oh gosh.
Like how they did it. So it's like, yeah, you just put on this thing and it basically turns off your body but keeps your brain on while you play.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely get dedicated VR rooms group because they already kind of exist just on a, you know, like you have Disney Quest and stuff like that. It's just not on a personal like you most people wouldn't have one in their home now. There's already the
Yeah.
technology for it though. So I think that's definitely
I
on the
think it's gonna
horizon.
basically I think it's gonna go from like some I Japan's gonna figure out the technology, do big VR rooms like they did the cafe, like the computer cafes that don't exist over here, and it's gonna get really big over there, then it's gonna make its way over here and either bomb or do so well that everyone loses it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's I don't know. It's tough to read the VR stuff, man, because I know a lot of people like it, but it is inherently limited.
Yeah. I have messed with VR. Funny enough, our high school had a whole VR rig.
Arcade halls coming back is not a bad call. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Our high school had a full VR rig.
Really.
Yeah, and I got to mess with it. The biggest problem with it was most of the people who used it just got motion sick.
Oh, yeah. I used to get motion sick as a kid. I don't know if that would
Um,
come
it has
back up.
something to do with like how especially with me because I got motion sick doing it. And I'm not normally a very motion sick individual. Like I'm normally pretty fine, but it was just the my when you turn too quick in it, it kind of fucks with your brain.
Well, because the screen can't process things as fast as your brain, your eyes can. So it's like this disconnect that yeah, I can see how that would.
And it just gets in your head and it really messes with you. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. when I was like, yeah, that's I was like, man, it's cool, it's interesting. I just if I keep doing this, I'm gonna be sick to my stomach the rest of the day.
Right. Yeah, that's what would
And
happen as a
then
kid if I would look outside the window while everything was moving and then quickly turn and look inside the car. I would immediately feel like I was gonna vom.
um but I will also say that whole like setup and all the rigs and stuff that we had and were working on all got trashed when that teacher left.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They everybody was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. What teenagers would want to learn how to do tech support and gaming stuff, and how is this anything appropriate for high school, yada yada.
I would have
They
yoinked
can
that.
uh the teacher, she was there our senior year and 1 year after, and then she left because it just wasn't enough support in the school
Right.
for something like that. But
Jeez.
like it was just, when I found out about that, it was just so sad to me because it was like, man, that was a class ahead of its time, because we were getting certifications and stuff that most people have to be like adults to get certifications in.
Right.
Like, my favorite was, that's where I got my Apple repair certification. Well,
So you
and
got your
like I
working
was,
with feudal technology.
yes.
How can we overcomplicate technology in the most annoying way possible? That's Apple. That's the MO of Apple.
Yeah, but like in reality, it was like a whole bunch of that stuff. I took the manager test for it too, so I had that. So I could have actually gone and done tech support, but I never did because I was already in kitchens by that point, and I was like, it's easier just to stay here.
May have been easier at the time. Hindsight is always 2020.
Yeah, I realized the mistake I have made.
Also, apparently Power Wash Sim is getting a Shrek DLC. That's really funny.
Get out of my swamp.
What are you doing in my swamp? Oh,
Honestly, I would love to do like, that would be a fun speedrun stream right there.
dude, have you
Like
seen the. Oh, go ahead.
doing like all the the challenges in that, like the time challenges. I think
Oh,
that would be a really fun
gosh.
stream.
I got sick of those after trying to get them for the achievements. Did you see the TCG card shop simulator?
Yes, I did. I brought that up. That I Go check mods chat. Go check mods chat. It's
Did
like
you?
two messages up. Yeah. It's like my last set of messages I was talking about it.
It's literally the most recent one. I read, okay, I'll be ready, and then I did not see the TCG simulator one. That's funny.
Dude,
I saw somebody
I
play it and was like, that looks like a lot of fun.
I I almost just bought it immediately because I saw a post about it. I was like, ah, that seems cool, but like, and then I saw Ray playing it. I was like, oh, you get the crack packs in the game. Oh, this is a problem.
I'm buying it.
It's like $12 right now.
Oh
So
gosh dang it, I forgot to get the Surge 1 and 2 before they came off a sale. Oh man. I had those sitting in my cart for so long. Dang it. Oh, they were like $1 a piece too, man. Gosh, I legit had those in my cart for like half a month. That sucks, man. Group, I had specifically put those in my cart because you suggested them. And I was like, oh, yeah, I could get them for cheap now. And then I just forgot to buy them. I just left them in my cart. Gosh dang it.
Oh
Oh.
man.
Metal Gear Solid Collection Volume 1 on sale. Interesting. Uh, but yeah, to move on to our second topic.
Hold on, I gotta go buy that game now before I forget.
Um,
Add to cart. View my cart.
I'm looking at
Continue
the
to
on sale
payment.
games before I commit. Uh, but so we finally learned about Microsoft Game Studios, what stuff was going on in the background, because Halo Infinite sucked, and quite a lot of other Microsoft Game Studios games have sucked as of recent. Oh my gosh, they remastered Epic Mickey.
What?
They remastered Epic Mickey.
I don't know what that is, so
The game where you use the paintbrush as Mickey? You never played Epic Mickey on the Wii?
no.
Oh my gosh, I loved that game. They remastered it. It's $60. I'm not going to spend that kind of money. That's crazy though. Sorry. Distracted. So, TCG Shop owner stream? Absolutely.
I think there's a
100%.
I think there's a co-op version of it too.
Is there really?
Yeah. Because in the tags it does say that it's co-op, so it's like, oh, that's dangerous.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So
I gotta buy it and see if it actually works.
You did
before.
not just
What?
group. What are you doing?
What did group do? What happened? I don't have chat open this time.
Hold on. There's no shot you actually did it, right? I don't even know where to put a code in on Steam.
Give me a second, I'll tell you. Should be in your store, I believe. I've not bought anything since I had to update all my cards, so working. Let's just go back.
Set invalid product code. I'm anyways, to get back on track. So first of all, they
Jesus.
yes, it did get my attention, but I was hoping you didn't do that. So it was revealed why Halo Infinite 1 took so long and 2 sucked so bad. So the way Microsoft runs things at their studio is they bring people on for a maximum of 18 months. They bring them on for 18-month contracts and they let them go after that. So basically, you have somebody come in, work on Halo Infinite for 18 months, and then leave. Now you might think, oh, 18 months, that's not that bad. Except for when you take into account the fact that Halo Infinite used its own engine that you could not get access to without being with Microsoft. So you then had to spend 10 of that 18 months learning how to use this engine. before you could actually work on the game. So then you barely got to work on the game before your contract was up, and then they had to do the whole thing over again. This all explained in a video by Mint Blitz, and I forget the name he said, but he was basically the head project guy that came in with Infinite and said, "No, we're not releasing this yet. It's going to be delayed." And he is the only reason that Infinite even made it to a playable state. Like, if it weren't for him, Infinite wouldn't have been half as competent as it was, which is disgraceful. But if you've wondered why any Microsoft Game Studios product has been subpar, it's because they had a maximum of an 18-month contract.
That's horrendous.
Yep. Which is why they are trying to switch. I believe they're doing the next game in Unreal Engine, because you can hire people who already know how to use Unreal Engine. Thus, you can actually get 18 months out of somebody, instead of having to spend more than half of their time on your team teaching
learning
them.
Yeah. That's really annoying.
It really is. It's asinine, especially when you compare it, because one of the guys who was with Bungie with the original Halo games, he said every single time your contract would end, they would rehire you with a pay raise. They just extend your contract, give you a pay raise, and then they kept doing that. And that's why you had the same team through all three of the, well, really you had it through Reach, but like that's why Bungie was so consistent with all of them, is because, oh, hey, your contract's up. Well, we want to bring you back. Here's a new contract. We've offered you a raise. Now stay with us for another 18 months.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should work. Not, oh, your 18 months are up.
Bye.
See you later. Enjoy. Thanks for the minor amount of help that you provided. Like,
18 months is also not a lot of time.
No, it's not. Like, people might hear 18 months and go, "Oh, well, that's like a year and a half. That's a lot of time." Not for game development. Not for game development. I can tell you, especially with a game that big, that is nothing. That is nothing. You might spend 18 months working on one game system.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, we need to develop how this one gun shoots. Okay, this is a developer's job for the next 18 months.
Yeah.
He's going to balance it. He's going to set up the hitboxes. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. Like, that's how it works.
It's even scarier when you have to understand the only position that I could see like you doing that with and like it being kind of okay would be writing.
Right.
Because
shut up, phone.
I went to a panel and at Comic-Con, and they were this guy who was lead writer for Call of Duty, one of the newer Call of Duties, was like, yeah, it took the writing room of 4 people 8 months to write the entire story.
Yeah.
Edit everything and have it into post. From there, we were just fixing minor details in the script as we went, and it's like, oh.
And we were done 2 years before they were done with the game.
Yeah. He actually said writing was one of the most intense parts for the first section. After that, it just kind of blows over. Because they got so much to do. They have executives breathing down their neck. But then as soon as the writing staff is like, okay, yeah, we're done, it's like, okay, the writers are basically on their own, off to their own devices. What are you giggling at?
That group. Imagine being a professional writer, but before you can start, you first have to learn German. No lie. That's exactly what that is. That's 100%. But no, even better. Even better. Hey, before you start writing, you have to learn this language that you've never heard of and nobody outside of this small group of people has ever even seen. Oh, okay, cool. So I don't even have any references.
It's
I
like, oh yeah, you have to learn Latin before you become a writer.
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is coming from somebody. Okay, the easiest way to explain, I know a little bit of Latin.
Well, of course.
And when I. Yeah, it's actually kind of surprising. I know I know enough to like. I can pick out enough words in a sentence to kind of get the gist of what the sentence is trying to say. But other than that, it's like a blurb that I don't even understand. Um, uh, but at the same time, it's like, um, my mother knew Latin. Just, they taught it in school when she was a kid, and she was like,
We just
she
don't.
was like, I learned Latin.
That's funny. Yeah, I know a little bit of Latin too.
Oh, yeah?
Like "c'est la vie." Isn't that Latin?
Nope, that's French.
Oh, my bad. What about "Ya tibia le bleu"? Is that Latin?
That's Russian.
How about "baguette"?
That that's English.
What about "Scheißkopf"?
That's German?
Yes, it is. I won't say what it is unless somebody knows what that word is. I won't say. You've got to
I
know.
believe it's profanity.
It is. Yep. Yes, group. You... pardon my German. Oh boy. Spray paint simulator. Hold on. What is this? Oh, nope, mute it. Hold on. Yo, it's like the reverse of Power Wash Simulator.
Oh.
Instead of cleaning things, you're painting things.
Um,
Dude.
um, it's like Le Dominus Nox is Latin.
This looks an awful lot like Power Wash Sim. Is this from the Power Wash Sim devs?
Probably.
I'm waiting for the logo to pop up, or it to say from the developers of Power Wash Simulator. Power Wash spray paint crossover that's 2v2 multiplayer.
That's actually pretty good. I like
I
that.
like that a lot. That's really funny. You heard it here first. I don't know what the dev studio that makes Power Wash Sim is. This is made by North Star.
Nope, not the same company.
Yeah, Power Wash Sim is Future Lab. What do you mean Power Wash Sim is woke, Gore? I think they're pretty fantastic. They're adding a Shrek DLC.
Spencer, we both got to know that a lot of these kids were born after Shrek came out.
Shut up. No! Shut up. I hate that. Shrek is 2001.
Yeah.
Uh,
Shrek came out when we were kids. Like, little kids.
I mean, yeah, we were little. But still. I guess Shrek is older than my sister, too, so. Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
Shrek is get out of my
I
swamp.
wonder if. I wonder if, I mean, I'm sure Cheese and Razorbolt have to know Shrek is love, Shrek is life. That was a big meme for a while. You still
Listen,
grew up
man.
with it? I guess, I mean, yeah, it still
Yeah,
existed. It's just,
yeah,
it's weird to think of something like that, that it's like, oh man, I was around when that, now there's people who are near adults who weren't around.
or like another thing that'll throw you off. Rosa Parks was live when Shrek came out, so Rosa
Yeah,
Parks could have watched Shrek
Rosa Parks was still alive
when we were young. And that was one of those big things where it's like, oh, Rosa Parks died, and it's like, who was that?
Oh my gosh, it's all ogre now. We all grew up with Lion King and Toy Story, and those are older than us. Yeah, yeah. I'm not saying. I'm not trying to be like. Okay, so I'll. I feel like I should talk about something that pisses me off a lot. The whole thing that always used to irritate me so bad was the "you're not a real '90s kid," because it was the dumbest sense of elitism that you could ever think of. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, well, you were born after Shrek, so I'm just like, oh gosh, it is weird that Shrek is old enough now that there are people who
Shrek
are,
is old enough to legally drink.
oh gosh.
And
Yeah,
has been for quite some time.
exactly. Shrek has been around long enough that there are now people who are born after Shrek that are able to legally drink. Like, that's insane. That's what's weird to me. I'm not gonna like use some sense of superiority like for some reason early 90s kids feel like doing, which pisses me off to no end. Especially now. In high school, it irritated me. Now I'm like, you are in your mid 30s. I don't want to hear it. Like, the 90s was 30 years ago. If you're still hung up on oh, I'm so cool because I was around in the 90s, well, then let me tell you, your your peak came a long time ago. Like that has, oh man. We did a thing at work where it was 90s day and you're supposed to come dressed up like you were in the 90s, and so I did. I wore jeans, I had the flannel tied around my waist. I wore a Red Hot Chili Peppers t-shirt and everything. Like, I went for it. And there were quite a few people there who were obviously older than me. Like, one guy was like, yeah, that's about how I dressed in high school, so I think you knocked it out of the park with that. I'm like, cool. Uh, and, but then one chick was like, oh, when were you born? And I was like, 1999. She's like, oh, you're not a real 90s kid. I'm like, yeah. And who
Your point?
cares? Like, what's your point? We're meant to dress up like it's the 90s. I'm dressed up like it's the 90s. Those 7 months were seven of the best months of my life. So I want you to you can suck it. uh you're a true 90s kid when it's all been downhill since then. That's the thing, man. It like what are we doing? And the thing that they fail to realize is they think that everything that happened in the 90s ceased to exist after the 90s ended. Like, I still watched Rocket Power and Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs and the Wild Thornberries. There's a lot more that I could name. Chippendales Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck. Like, all of these 90s cartoons that they are, oh, well, yeah, we watched it. Like, yeah, I did too, because they were still around in the 2000s.
Yeah.
It's not like it's like, oh, clicked over Y2K, that's it. All these Nickelodeon cartoons are gone. No more Hey Arnold for you. Like, it's the dumbest. And the game still existed. Dude, I played a PlayStation 1 and an N64 until 2004, I think.
Yeah. We played all the same systems that they did, and they just think they're better than us.
It's the most ridiculous, like, it's them trying to grasp at superiority, which in high school, it irritated me in high school just because I was younger, but looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, that's what high school is. You're trying to grasp at some sort of superiority. But
Yeah.
now it's like, bro, I'm 25 and I'm the youngest of people who were still around in the 90s, who were born in the 90s. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta let it go, man. And like, I was talking about this with my dad the other day because he was like, yeah, 80s kids are not like, oh, well, you're not a real 80s kid. They show a sense of camaraderie because it's like, oh yeah, the 80s were great, weren't they? But for
Yeah.
some reason, the freaking millennials are just like, I was really a 90s kid and that makes me better than you. Like, shut up. Shut up. This 90s shows started airing in the 2000s in Europe. Yeah, so exactly. Like, like, come on, man. Gosh, I can get unnecessarily mad about that. Cuz it's just like, you know what? You want to try and latch onto some feeble sense of superiority? Okay, whatever. But picking that as the thing to be superior about is asinine.
Mm. Yeah.
It's
Like,
so stupid.
pick something better. I that that drives me insane because I have two brothers that grew up. You have a brother as well who was a 90s kid, an actual 90s kid.
Right.
And both of my brothers are the same way. They're like, "You don't understand what it was like to grow up in the 90s." I'm like, you were born in 91, dude. You were 9 years old by the time.
Yeah, that's another thing. Newsflash, if you were born in the 90s, you're not a 90s kid either. You were under 10 when the 90s ended. Shut your mouth. You didn't get to experience half of it either. You were waddling around in diapers before. Like, come on, shut up.
Yeah, that was what drove me off the walls because I was like, you didn't experience shit either.
Like, if you were born in '89, then yeah, you got to experience the full '90s. You were born in '90, I'd say reasonably you got to experience the full '90s. Like, I'm not trying to act like 1999, I know exactly what the 90s were like. Because obviously, while there were a lot of things that stuck around after the 2000s, there was a lot of things that didn't. Like,
Yeah.
big name stars that fell off a cliff in the 2000s. And, you know, a lot of weird technology and, like, the things with sports teams trying weird logos and everything. Like, there's a lot of weird stuff from the 90s. No doubt that we didn't get to experience firsthand. But to act like I was born in 1995, and so I totally got to experience it. Shut up. Shut up.
It what is it? your first actual memory doesn't like you don't have your first actual memory like that you can pull up in your brain, till you're like what, 4 or 5 years old?
Usually 4 or 5. I can pull memories. I can pull one memory from earlier than that. I have one memory from when I was 2 years old. And it is so faint and fleeting that it's like I can't fully grasp it. But it's there enough that I know it happened and it's been verified by my parents. I was
Mm-hmm.
sitting on the couch playing Spyro 3, Year of the Dragon, sick as a dog when a blimp came out overhead and they took me outside to see the blimp. I remember that vividly with Spyro and the blimp. Like, I have a hard time putting together like exactly how the living room was arranged and all of that. And obviously everything seems 3 times as big as it actually was because I was 2. But
Yeah.
it's like it's barely there. It's barely there.
It's like I have select memories like from around that time because it's like we had a dog and I remember the dog and I remember what he looked like.
Exactly. Yeah, there's little things
Um,
like that.
I remember trying to ride said dog like a horse because the dog was a
A
Tibetan
Tibetan
Mastiff.
Mastiff.
Which, by the way, if you guys don't know what a Tibetan Mastiff is, those things are fucking huge.
And they're scary.
But it was like his name was Bosco. He's my dad's dog. He got him in Alaska when my dad was up there. And he said over and over again, Bosco was the greatest nanny dog he ever had. Because he could just leave. He could just be like, okay, I'm leaving the kids with the dog and I don't have to worry about it because I know the dog will keep them safe.
90s kids really tend to act like we went from Pogs and landline phones straight into iPad kids in the turn of the
Yeah.
millennium. Yeah, that really is. 100%. That's how they act. Yeah, I've got a lot of early memories like that where it's like something I can just barely grasp. And
It's
it's
like,
like,
um, because I was born in New Mexico. I can remember like very little about New Mexico because we left when I was pretty young. But I remember it being hot and dry, and that's about all I can remember out of it.
to explain it, where I can remember most things, from age 5 on, like the first super solid memory I have is my 5th birthday party. Um, that's I can remember most of the birthday party, but like when it comes to most things, I remember it's like remembering a video. When it gets that early, it's like remembering a slideshow.
Yeah. It. What's the best way for me to explain it? Because like, mine is my 4th birthday because I remember that as a small child, I was very upset at that birthday. And my parents have
That's
also
cool, group.
verified that because it was like they got me all of this weird stuff. Like they got me a cat food bowl, they got me the water bowl, they got me this and that, and they're like, okay, we're gonna teach. They're like, I was like, okay, what's all of this for? And they're like, oh, you'll find out. And then they brought out the first pet I ever had, which was Racer.
Racer. Yeah, I
Also, never if you ever have kids, never let them name the pets because they come up with the dumbest names.
yeah, dude, I'm sure. Good
I
grief.
named a black I named a tuxedo cat Racer because he ran around like a race car.
You want to know when my first cousin was being born? You want to know what name I suggested? 4-year-old me suggested pajama basketball.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's like, you should name her Pajama Basketball.
It sounds such a cool name.
I'm like, yeah, they're like two of the coolest things I own. uh, the mind of a child is fantastic.
And terrifying.
Oh boy. But yeah, let me ask you this then, because I've had this weird thing. When we got a hamster, I just wanted to call him Small Dwarf because he was small. That's fair. I think I did name my family's first dog, and I named it Willow, which is a fairly competent name for a child. But
Yeah, like Racer, that was like I
Racer's
look back
not
on that.
terrible.
It's not terrible, but as like a grown up, I'm like, man, I could have named him something way cooler.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, that was a wild sentence. Said
What?
my sister was never born, she was removed by C-section. But let me ask you this. Have you ever had a thing where it's like you see something that you have no memory of, like initially when you see it, but then it like clicks and you're like, oh, wait a minute, and a bunch of memories just come flooding back. We're like, oh my
Dude,
gosh, how did I forget that? Like, that was a thing I loved as a kid.
I do it as like things that I've done as an adult too, because so I was at work one day. This is gonna age me very hard. I'm sitting at work. Somebody goes, "Hey, where's this kid at?" Like 18-year-old kid working for us, and somebody goes, "I think he's out back. He's on break." And it's like, okay, whatever. I walk out the back door and I see him skimboarding across a puddle in the back parking lot. And I'm like, you're fucking joking me, right? And I stood there and watched him for like 10 minutes instead of actually doing work because I was like so intrigued, and it just brought back a bunch of memories of a certain somebody whose name begins with N. And a couple of the weird adventures that me and her went on. And I was like, now I'm angry. I'm going back inside.
See, yeah, I'll do it where I'm like I'll be like, oh, scrolling through some what was it that it happened the other day with? It was a cartoon that was back in what was the cartoon named? Oh shoot. It had a character who was a little yellow guy who had a like yellow circle for a head, and all the characters knew kung fu, and it was like Shaolin Showdown or something like that.
Wait, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, I 360 no scoped that name. I actually got it. Shaolin Showdown. With the little, it was like the dude here, let me pull up the picture. Open image. This thing. The chick with pink hair, there's the kind of generic dude, the little yellow guy, and then the big cowboy looking dude.
Give me a second, I'm flipping over to the actual.
What's
Yeah!
up, Ian?
Yeah!
I saw this and I was like, I forgot this show existed! Yo! Oh man. That was one of those things where it was just like, dude, how did I forget about this? I loved this show. And I did that. There was another show that I got reminded of. Like, there's Jake Long, American Dragon, which I kind of forget about and then remember. It's like it doesn't entirely leave me. It's not like I see it and I'm like, oh yeah, Jake Long. But it's like when people ask me, oh, what did you watch as a kid? I name all the ones that I did earlier, the '90s shows, and then I'll say like Danny Phantom, Fairly Odd Parents, Phineas and Ferb, like.
Oh, oh, oh,
But it's
oh! This
just
is completely off topic. This is wildly off topic. I gotta go find it now. Um, some fans went and made
yes, I do, group. Absolutely, I do. I've had that happen a bunch.
Phineas and Ferb, what was it? Grown Up? Uh, Act Your Age is Phineas and Ferb. It was a fan-made thing that, is this it, or? I think it is. Basically it's them graduating and going to going off to college. But it was completely fan made.
I did not see that. No.
Dude, it was so sad because Isabella and Phineas finally end up together.
Okay.
Ferb actually has a lot of lines in it too, which is kind of crazy to me.
Phineas and Ferb was relatively late for me too, group, but I was still
I
watching
loved it.
cartoons at the time, and it's actually I can watch it now and it's still entertaining.
It is very much
Rugrats? Yeah, I loved Rugrats.
oh, that's another one.
I had a Rugrats game on the PlayStation 2. It might have been a PS1 game. I can't remember. I mean, you missed like an hour of podcast, Ian. It's hard to cover all that in an instant. We talked about the state of play. We talked about why Halo Infinite sucked, and we've been talking about old shows at this point for a minute now. Phineas and Ferb is a huge part of your childhood. Yeah, dude, I love like okay, it started in 2007, so I was already 8 when it started, but I'm still watching cartoons at 8, and it was funny enough that I watched it through its whole run. Like into high school, I was still watching Phineas and Ferb because I'm like, this is hilarious.
It was such a good show, and the best part about the Act Your Age is they got the guy who wrote it to come back and do. They got all the voice actors to come back and do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's all the original voice actors, and it was like, oh, this is so sad.
Realize it was as old as you. Yeah. Oh, 07. Avatar is another one that
Oh yeah.
I mean, obviously everybody knows about that. Like, you recently had a sudden flash of a random book you read that was really hard to find. I have had that with a piece of music that I cannot find to save my freaking life. And the problem is, it doesn't have any lyrics to it. It is just like one of those club beats that was used in the 2010s. And I can't find it to save my freaking life. It's so irritating. The only piece of like hint of it that I can recall is a video of a guy who modded a lightsaber where when he swung it, it would play the song. That's the only reference that I have. I can't find the song anywhere else. And there's no way to describe it because it's all just like EDM music. It's like, how do you describe what it sounds like without describing every EDM song? We're playing Leaves from the Vine in your marching band. Oh. I'd start crying.
Wait, what? Why? Leaves from a vine?
Leaves from the
Oh!
vine,
Oh!
falling so
Oh!
slow, like fragile tiny shells. Like, oh gosh, especially when you learn the context that that was the voice actor's last recording before he died.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it hurts. Oh, it hurts. Such a fantastic show. Another one, Invader Zim.
Oh!
Loved Invader
Man.
Zim. Cheese has a solo for it. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh man, like you don't gotta show your faces or anything, but I want to hear a recording of your band doing that. That's awesome. Uh, I could gush about Avatar because I love that show so much, but I'll refrain. Plenty of people have done that. Ian,
I love that show really affected me as a kid.
it affected me too, and it affected me even more when I watched it back and I was older and I was like, oh my gosh. This is like a lot more secretly brutal than I realized as a kid. The bloodbending episode scared me as a kid.
Yeah.
So, Ian, the reason a lot of people didn't like Infinite is because it had a lot of issues. If you're referring pretty much to the story, a lot of people did like the story. Although most people complained it was a little bland compared to the other Halo games, which it's hard to argue. It was good, but not as good as the others. The complaints come with the multiplayer side of it. That's what everybody's issue is.
Yeah.
Soon to be recording when we get later in the year in past competitions. Got it.
154.
Is it the woke witching hour of 7 p.m. yet? No, well, it's 8 p.m.
Yeah.
That
dude,
being
like,
said, we are supposed to stream Borderlands in an hour, so
we'll be wrapping it up shortly. I understand. There's so much like Halo this is what bothers me is I've said this time and time again. Halo Infinite would have been so much better if Sergeant Johnson was still around.
yeah.
Because I did not like that was my biggest critique out of that entire game, the campaign wise, was I could not stand the pilot.
I thought the pilot was fine. I thought he was fine. I don't think he was perfect, but I thought he was fine.
It's a very back and forth. Like, I've heard a lot from everyone. They're all like,
So, no, Ian, the thing people don't like about Infinite is not just like, oh, one mode sucks. There's a lot of issues with the multiplayer. There's the abundance of microtransactions. They promised a lot of things and didn't deliver on them. And then it was like, they released the game and it's like, there's 8 maps. It's like, oh, okay, there will be more when the game actually releases. And they're like, oh, the game is released. There'll be more maps. Eventually. And it took them 3 years to get extra maps. And we still don't have split screen co-op. Like, we can't co-op campaign. Like normal. It's like, there's a lot of things that they didn't deliver on. And that's why people are upset with Infinite.
The beta was so good for Halo Infinite, though.
Yeah, it was.
That's what drives me off the walls. The
the
beta
problem
was
is
perfect.
the beta was the full game.
I know, and the only thing it didn't have was campaign.
Exactly.
Okay, I will say this: the beta did have a lot of bugs in it.
Does it at least have 4-star reviews? I don't know. Let's go to the Steam reviews. Also, I found a game on Steam called Chef RPG, so you need to check that out. Halo Infinite. Recent reviews mixed. All reviews mostly positive.
What is this? It's like Stardew, but you're a chef. What?
Yep.
Okay. That's weird.
I mean, mixed isn't great. It's not the worst, but does the Xbox app have ratings on it? No. It does not look like it.
I would doubt it because people would shit on everything that Microsoft did.
Yes.
Because that's exactly what I would do.
Hey, Overwatch is on the Xbox app now. Yay, we can play Overwatch easier. Fantastic. I need to get a new hard drive so I can actually play any of these games.
Oh, yeah.
Find one that won't freaking corrupt. Stupid piece of crap. Oh, yeah, an unfortunate announcement, too. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy leaves Game Pass in 6 days. So, kind of spoils that playthrough. Is it on Steam? Okay, it's $10 on Steam. We'll be fine.
Not terrible.
Oh,
but...
it's on sale right now. It's normally $30. I'm buying that. We will save that playthrough. Sheesh. They have the other Ace Attorney games? Ace Attorney Investigations? Oh, this is where you play as Edgeworth.
You're saying words together, and I know they mean something, but I do not know what they mean.
Yeah, it's because you're too stupid to know. Oh, yeah, they've got the Apollo Justice trilogy that is $40. I'm good. Well, yeah, Ian, the reason I haven't played Ace Attorney is because my hard drive corrupted. I lost all the stuff for, any game that wasn't Pokemon. That's why I've been playing Pokemon so much recently. Well, cool. I'm glad
and here
I can at least
thought you
save
just liked
Ace Attorney.
Pokemon.
I do like Pokemon, but I didn't want to play it every day for multiple weeks on end.
What's wrong with playing Pokemon every day for weeks on end?
There's nothing wrong with it. I just want a little variety. The Isle? A dinosaur game? Open world dinosaur game? That's not like Ark and stupid? Hopefully.
Wait, what is it called?
The Isle. Oh boy, but
Huh.
anyways, do you have a quote?
Oh. Oh. Give me a second. 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 Uh, uh,
Gore, what are you talking about? Wool Clans 1.
okay, here you go. I got it.
Go ahead.
Most humans fear the unknown. That's why I've hidden my shop here. The dwarf from Stardew Valley.
Mine is even the greatest heroes are forgotten someday. Heiter from Freerun.
Yeah.
I wanted to do the quote in the episode I just watched, but it involves a phrase that YouTube is not too fond of.
Dude, you saw that episode?
That's so funny, dude. Legit, seeing...
I told you it was so good!
Seeing an anime character, no lie, tell someone to off themselves and them actually doing it was insane.
Dude, I was like, this is what? I was like, what?
Like, it feels like it should be dubbed, but rather, what's when people go over it with the abridged, but no, straight up Freerun Beyond Journey's End group. There's a part where, okay, spoilers for Freerun if you want to watch it, like, leave. Get out. Because I know it is still pretty new, so I won't. But there's a demon who's a bad guy who weighs people's mana on a scale, and whoever has more powerful mana gains control of the other. And so Freerun conceals her mana, and the demon thinks she's won, and then when Freerun reveals that she has more mana, the scales tip, Freerun gets control of the demon, and she tells the demon to
off themselves.
KS, yeah. KYS yourself. And she just pulls up a sword and cuts off her own head. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I just watched this happen in an actual anime. Like, what?
Like, me as a watcher, like, that was one of my first animes. I'm like, is this just normal?
It absolutely isn't, but it's so fantastic. Because it like, it feels like it's an abridged moment. Like somebody... Like you're watching freaking Helsing Abridged. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was fantastic. I loved that. But anyways, that's all we got for Bardic Blunders. We will be back same time next week. If you are still awake, join us in about 45 minutes for Borderlands. We should message Alex, make sure
we're still good.
Yeah, make sure we're still good.
Or you and me will be finding something else to play.
I was gonna say, yeah. Bardic Blunder into Borderlands. But yeah, we'll be playing Borderlands, and yes, you're joining Gore if you still want to. Yeah, we'll be playing Borderlands here in a bit. So we'll see you in 45 minutes. Tally ho.